Hello again. Welcome to the abbreviated West Virginia University Football Podcast. I am Mike Casazza from earsports.com. This is a Paramount podcast. What type of podcast is it? It's a brief podcast about WVU football. We take a couple topics, we present them to you in truncated fashion. Awkward week in the season in between two big games. Mountaineers still trying to find themselves, might not get all the answers this week. That's why we're here. That's what we're going to discuss. People want to know about WVU and what the heck happened and what happens now. And I know this because I'm a people person. I get out in the streets. I'm on the town. Buy my own groceries, pump my own gas. I go to the gym. No big deal. But I see the people. I engage. I like to think I'm approachable. Ask questions for a living. The twist, though, is when I see the people, they ask me the questions sometimes. What happened? Is it as good as I thought? Is it as bad as it looked? So on and so forth. Just depends on the game. You can imagine what the mood is this week. So when I'm out in the streets among the people, they come up to me. They're at a loss for words and explanations. And I say, hey, what do you think? You tell me. And they say, you know what we need, Mike? And I wonder where it's going, but I know. They lean in and they go, hey, Mike, we need a podcast about Mountaineer football. 3 topics. One starts with the W, one starts with the V, one starts with the U. What do you say we get into it? The W this week starts for wait, and not wait as in, wait, what was that? Wait, where'd the motion go? Wait, cramps? Wait, thought it was going to be better against the top 10 team this year. So on and so forth. Don't let me drive the point home here too much. The wait is that after all the anticipation for that Penn State game and coming out feeling a little bit deflated, perhaps even very deflated, you have to wait 2 more weeks between games until you can really prove yourselves, until you can give a better acquittal than what happened in the highly anticipated opener. Reason being, Penn State, FCS, Pitt. Didn't get it done against Penn State. At the start of the season, the Mountaineers really do hope, believe, expect will be bigger and better than what most of the skeptics believe to be true right now. You're not going to move the needle. You're not going to approach the goal line any more than normal by beating an FCS team. You know that. I know that. The FCS team knows that. The Mountaineers certainly do. So you got this awkward week in the schedule, and it's always a hard time during this type of a season where you have to wait 2 full weeks before you get another opportunity. You can't get a first impression on your second swing, but you can't botch that second opportunity to show yourselves. And what's weird is that while you're expected to win this game, and by all indications you will going away, you got to take care of business. Otherwise, you're not going to be prepared for that next game. Preparation certainly a concern after what you saw on Mountaineer Field against Penn State. But you got to wait until you know for sure what this team has and what it lacks. The V this week stands for viremia, viremia. Bit of a reach here. V is always difficult, like I said, but what viremia is when you have a virus in your body and it's there and you get sick or it remains dormant until it pops up. I'm not saying that what happened to West Virginia is indicative of a virus, but there are certain things there that could get your attention. For example, worked really hard the past couple of years to cure the drops. We saw key drops against Penn State. What about the anxiety, the anxiousness, and the nerves that certainly took over the locker room in key corners of that room before the Penn State game and led to some of the jitters we saw in the early goings, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's some play callers, coaches, contributors on offense, defense, special teams. Evidently, it was present. They weren't expecting that, and they did not have a counter for it. Well, now you have emotion involved, and boy, now anxiety just leads to a little bit of angst because you're 0-1. You know that big game is coming up against Pitt next week. You got to get through this one. Just, can that emotion become too much sometimes? And is it hard to get it back? Just think about other misgivings, too. Things that you saw that small but could be big. How about fumbles? Turnovers, not a thing that West Virginia really did a whole lot of last year, but put the ball on the ground, lost 3 turnovers. How about just lack of execution on certain things, whether it's the right decision on a read or a keep on an RPO or hand it off or pass it on the RPO, whether it's running routes to the right spot, whether it's guarding the hash when you're in cover 2, simple things that you got to get right. But man, something goes wrong, just short circuits briefly in the brain and doesn't work. You're 1.5 yards outside of the gap you're supposed to be in. You're not blocking the right spot on a screenplay outside. Things you thought you had done, but now you can't get it right when it matters the most. And you put all them together and you just wonder, boy, execution, preparation, discipline, attention to detail, are those all right? Was it wrong for one day, or is it in your system right now and you got to work on it when you thought you had before? There are other aspects of that season opening performance that probably make you worried. How many of them lied dormant? How many of them already popped up, cost you, gave you the sniffles or the coughs, whatever? And how many of them are out of your system now? Viremia. It's in your blood till it's not anymore. Up to you to take care of it here. The U stands for UAlbany. That is the way the opponent likes to be described, not Albany University or University of Albany, not UA. It's UAlbany. It looks weird. Not a fan, frankly, but hey, I like style too. It's unique. Give it to the Danes. FCS semifinalists last year actually beat an Idaho team and a coach I really like on the road last season in the first round of the playoffs, and then went and got smoked by South Dakota State 59-0. That was your number one preseason FCS team this year. Lost to Oklahoma State this past week, but still a good team. I would not worry too much about UAlbany. Respect the opposition for what they have accomplished last season, where the program stands relative to the status of an FCS team. Lost a quarterback, lost receivers, lost 15 all-conference players. The defense is going to have one starter back. They have tried to supplement their talent with the portal. It's not like West Virginia or FBS teams do. They got a lot of FCS and parallel level players to come to their program. They might start, might be really good players, but you're taking FCS holes and filling them with FCS players while you're going against a Power 4 conference team. That should not get the job done, and quite likely it won't. Defense, Civ, maybe, who knows, did a good job against LIU in the first game. The offense did not. The offense is the one I actually want to talk about, though. Lost their quarterback, really good player, like I said, lost some receivers. They do bring back 3 quality offensive linemen who earned all conference recognition in a pretty good conference, the CAA. Receiver, Seven McGee, formerly of Oregon and Jackson State. Can't say enough about having a player named Seven in college football. George Costanza will be very happy. The quarterback, Miles Burkett, transferred from Wisconsin, made his first career start last week. Figure he'll get better and start too, right? You always get better between your first and second game. The one you want to talk about, though, is Griffin Waddell. Running back, redshirt freshman last year, not a full-time player at the start, pushed 1,000 yards, top 5 for the Jerry Rice Award, which is like your Heisman at that level. Going to be a dynamic player with the ball in his hands, 20 yards, 90 carries, and a touchdown in the opener against LIU. They'll get him going. They'll throw the ball in the passing game. Got 3 offensive linemen you can run with. Have a pass catch combination in Burkett and Seven. Not going to be enough, though. Why? Because West Virginia has never lost to an FCS team, rarely threatened, hardly ever scared. Should be a victory out of Mountaineer Field, which would be good enough until they learn more about themselves a week later against Pitt.